So I think somebody's mic is on, and we have to.
So, Jacob, can you mute your mic? Thank you.
So we are live now. Welcome to our very first lesson. Phones Dangam Bible. Okukayet Atukana Zanata Engekun Tyap Tyap Wiki Bootcamp Season 3. Today will be the very first day we are starting the Season 3 meeting. And as a way of introduction, my name is Kangboy, and I'll be taking us through this very lesson. And I don't know if we should do a short introduction before we start, or maybe we should just right ahead.
Okay. Well, I think it is better because this is our first time here. We will just take a brief introduction and then before we begin. All right. So thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Is it Biat Konya? I'm going to actually create get a chicken. Wikipedia and Tyap Group. No, come back more community our share journey. So right now we are about to start. So this is our day one of Wiki Bootcamp 2020 season. That's 2027. That is being organized by the Tyap Wikimedians User Group. So at this point, we welcome each and every one of you, and we would like to just take a brief introduction. So if you are with us on the day of the orientation, I believe you'll be familiar with how we do things here. So from my end here, I'll just pass the mic to anyone close to me, so that as soon as you introduce yourself, just briefly where you are joining us from, very important. Then you pass the mic to the next person to you. So thank you. We'll just take it like that. So I can see someone is looking at me. Justin, can you introduce yourself and pass the mic to the next person that you can see on your screen? Thank you. Unmute your mic. Okay, is that an idea? Okay, Judith, Ashoja. All right, so I think, but I hope I'm audible. Can you hear me?
Eba kaindanya.
So, Munkaya, Mufoko Overgatina. What new phone again?
Zifonga.
Zifonga.
Sir.
Okay, okay. Okay. I'm gonna show you. Work up.
Njani nangba.
Zifim.
Kayi ndora kong nanga.
The phone. That's it.
Zifonga.
Okay. Nungwa nangange danjuma ogwa kabantoni. Nshimu sa mali jamanini. What mina yet atanyi yung mga ni juk Wikipedia ba. Ngwai.
Actually, Peter, India one. Can I share Jacadora Tyap?
Nungwa ninja.
kawai ba mu yi. In dai ya fai gora, amma shi ne tafi Kaduna ji.
abin nan wanda. Okay, PJ Twins.
To ngwange kozi dalika. Ngwange Nerius Jacob of PJ Twins, Daniel Ned Mun Kenya Indiada Munini Ikara. Local government of Kaduna State that is sharing boundary with Makarfi and Kano State. Ngwai.
Abin nan. Is Archibius Jacob.
Mbia dalika. Ngwange Achilles Jacob. Ned Mun from Jagindi Tinafan. That's Jamal local government. Kaduna State.
Okay.
Mm.
Abin nan. Sha.
Eshai nungchai
Okay. Onyere ya.
Zia kai shai dai.
So abin yi mu bai. Ojere sha.
Fonze dan bam angenin shan kan bai. Nguda ma shan. Achilus anin dia Tyap Wiki ava kani. Abam ni mangani balia Tyap jeni kanin fok na nzu kai va ba mai asha. Afaga. Kwanya nyem ya ma tuli kuye nyem ya ma kan bai ka nyem ya ma. Tuli kan bai ngi udang tamke aliyo inyon kuri. Abanzet.
Kashu. Kashu acho kwa mfano ja afunza.
Ndio nzuri.
Shungati.
Ngwange Kajun. Ned Akunwa.
Ora se chama só tu de Kashu.
Chamo só Jo. Latutu.
Wato sakna yanin tenin sumna ne ni bada yang zet.
Asha só tu njada. To abana. Okay, anyana gwara nya. Okay, test. Test Asha kwa kwana ja. All right. So I think Marishan Jenin one number of Chamaliatun were actually combined to your son. Mike is muted.
So India Zilangbamu, Fon Zilangbamu, Mumbai, Katunkani, Manang Nkunkeni, Mungwange, Kambai, or Nungwana yet at Nin of Ka. So can you show what attention Manika?
Yasu.
Okay, so thank you very much and welcome all to this very first lesson, and welcome to all of us to this very first lesson of Tyap Wiki Bootcamp. Today we are going to go straight to the point, but first of all I will share the link to this very slide that I'm going to be working on in the chat so that we can also follow as we progress. If you can click on it and also be going through it so that we can all flow, and please keep questions because they are very necessary. So straight to the point. Sorry, I'm not having my mic with me currently, so I don't know if the sound is coming out very well or it is echoing.
It's very okay.
Okay, so beautiful. So let's just proceed. From now, I will share my screen with us, but before then, I'm going to share also the home page for this very program. And for those of us who have not yet become Wikimedians, don't worry, you'll become Wikimedians after we are done with this during the in-person bootcamp. But for the meantime, you can still click on this very link to see our homepage, project page for this very bootcamp. So I'm sharing my screen right now so that um, so my screen is sharing. So it's sharing right now, and this is our homepage. Can you indicate if you can see the home screen right now? My own screen right now.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, you want yeah, yeah, son. So this very page, if you are able to register as a participant in this Tyap Wiki Bootcamp, you can register yourself as an editor on this very page. But then if you have not, we'll take you on that. And if you are on this page as well, sorry, can somebody mute their mic? There's something cracking behind their mic. Okay. So if you're here, you are going to see through this very right up. It is looking so smallish, but then this one will give you an overview of what we have done thus far and what we are expected to do in this very bootcamp. This very year, we are inviting everyone who speaks any form of the language at all, so long as Gandia Tiap, Ana Fokiauna and Diani, so often here, Zilian Kianyunga, even though we have dialects or we have variants of the language we speak, uh, our language, as we all know, has no common name. But one of the dialects, its name was carried and used to refer to all the dialects that we speak, the seven of them as Tiap. So that's why we also refer to all these dialects as Tiap. Talking about Chacharak, Fantuam, Golok, Mabadodo, which is the Tiap spoken in the Tiap chiefdom, and Sholio, Tekat, and then Tuku. You'll be amazed to know that a lot of these people also speak Tiap in addition to their dialects. So that means that we can all communicate in the Tiap dialect, the Tiap Mabadodo dialect. So on this very page, we have done the registrations for this very program, and that's the reason why some of us were selected to join this very project. And what are the objectives of this very bootcamp? The objective is to immerse you into editing, both the people who are new to our project and those who are also coming into our project. I'm talking about the Wikimedia project. So would immerse you, but this very year, we are going to deal with those who are registered in person or who are going to attend in person. And then we also want to increase literacy in the Tiap language among our participants. Literacy means you know how to read, you know how to write in the language. You knowing how to speak the language doesn't mean that you are literate in the language. You are only a native speaker or you are only a speaker of the language, but not a native speaker. And then we also want to build a Tiap speaking community with a high literacy rate in the Tiap language. If you look at the Hausa, you look at the Igbo, you look at the Yoruba, you look at even the Jew speaking people, they have higher literacy rate than the Tiap speaking people. But we don't want that to continue to happen. We also want our community members to be more literate, to be literate in their language. And they also want to connect connection between the young and the elderly people. We see that among us, there are people of different age brackets. So I think somebody's mic is on. I don't know if it is my own speaker that is having issue, but something is making noise from the background. Sankwai, are you the one? So back to the lesson. So we want to connect a connection or to have a connection between the young people and the elderly people. We see that there are some of us who are below the age of 30, and then there are those of us who are below or who are above the age of 40. You see that the ones who are more elderly, they have more experience in the speaking of the language than those who are less. But then it doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes we find out that those who are even elderly do not understand the language as much as some of the ones that are younger. So we just want to mix the experience. Those who know something should add to us to contribute to our knowledge, and those who do not have knowledge about it should learn from those who have the knowledge. And then we also want to foster a collaboration between the Tyap Wikimedians and then the Language Development Board and then the project sponsors. As we told you in the orientation meeting, that this very project is being developed by or is being promoted and sponsored by the Wikimedia Foundation. And the Tyap Wikimedians, we are the people who are collaborating, who are joining the Wikimedia Foundation, who are the sponsors, together with our community. And the Tyap Language Development Board is also supporting us in this very project. And this very document that we're going to be using or that we are using was developed in bulk by Atoli Akila Punkwem, who happens to be the literacy coordinator for the Tyap Language Development Board. So we are all working together to develop this very language called Tyap. And then we also want to produce more valuable editors for the Wikimedia project, because we can't just have a Wikipedia, we can't just have a dictionary, and then at the end of the day, we don't have people who can write it, who can spell very well. So through this project, we want to build more people who can be able to contribute to this very project, to contribute to knowledge in the language that we call our mother tongue. And then we also want to immerse Tyap Wikimedians in Tyap editing project, which is just what I just explained. So this one that we're seeing here, strategic plan, is just giving us a kind of overview of what we aim to achieve, but we are following it judiciously. And today we are having our very first class, which is 3rd of July, which is part of our event, and we're following the event as we are seeing it on the board without jumping on any of them. And this very bootcamp also has some content. The in-person event is going to have language sessions, is going to have literacy classes, is going to have folklore, and is going to have folk songs, and we'll have other things as well. And then the online session we are going to have today, and in the next 5 weeks after today, we are going to have online literacy classes, and then we're also going to have take-home assignments. So if an assignment is given to you, please find an exercise book, devote a complete exercise book to your Tyap lessons, so that at the end of the day, we are going to mark those exercise books. Don't think that we're just going to give you the exercise books and then we are just going to give you the assignments and then we are not going to look at what you have done. We are going to grade you and we are going to give you scores at the end of everything. And then in this very online classes as well, you can as well click on this very link to join the meeting. And whatever we are doing currently is being recorded in this very YouTube channel. By the time I click on this link, you see that currently what we are doing is showing on YouTube, and some people are watching it as we speak all over the world. And then the slides we are going to be using here, they are attached to this very table. So you can only have to open it if you are using a computer. Click on it and you see that it is open, and then you begin to glance through it. And then other lessons that we're going to also have, both the recordings and the slides are going to be attached to this very page as well. And then these ones, you don't have to worry about them. So let's go straight to the point, to our lesson. I don't know, from what I have spoken thus far, does anyone have any question before we go straight to the lesson for today? Any questions? Okay, so there are no questions. That means everybody's okay. So let's proceed to our lesson for the day. So you are all welcome to a guide to learn to read and write Tyap. This is just a very short literacy course for beginners, and it doesn't contain much of those things that we may be thinking it could contain, but trust me, it contains everything that is basic for anyone who needs to learn how to read and write here. Welcome to the Tyap literacy course. This very course, as earlier said, is being organized by the Tyap Wikimedians User Group and the Tyap Language Development Board. Now, the aim of this very literacy program is to enable people who are already literate in a major language to become familiar with the basic principles of linguistics and acquire the basic skills in reading and writing the Tyap language fluently using the approved Tyap orthography. So we're going to skip this one. Now, the question is, are you ready to learn the Tyap language? I believe we are all ready. Now, this is the introduction to this very lesson. It is always good that we know what literacy, what orthography, and what linguistics are. Some of us will be hearing literacy, and be wondering, what does literacy mean? And some of us will be hearing orthography, you'll be thinking that it's a very big something. It's one kind of gigantic grammar, it's not for someone like me, kind of. You feel like you are less than that very, thing, that you are not sufficient to learn it. But it's a very simple thing. And what is linguistics? So literacy is actually like being able to teach you or to acquire knowledge, to know how to read and write. Orthography is just the basic principles that you need to know in writing. For example, when you are writing the Tyap language, you can't have a word that is starting with letter O, except if it is an exclamation like, oh, anya, anyani. But for you to have like a name written, for example, I want to write the name Oyok, and then I'll go and write Oyok or Oyock. In Tyap language, we don't have words that start with letter O, because our orthography, which is our rule for writing the Tyap language, doesn't allow us to have O, except maybe if it's a borrowed word. For example, the word office, which now is written as ofit. We have now typized the word to a Tyap word. And then we are writing Oyok as Oyock. We know that that doesn't fall in line with the orthography of the Tyap language. Instead, we write Oyok as A underscore YOK. We can't have CK in Tyap language because our orthography doesn't allow that. So the orthography is just simply the rules. But then maybe I'm talking too much. So let's go straight to the point, what we have in this very writing. What is literacy? Literacy is the ability to read and write fluently in a given language. A person who can read and write is said to be literate. In other words, if you can be able to read and write in a particular language, but you cannot be able to read, you cannot be able to write in another language, that means you are literate in that very language. You can be able to write or to read and write, and then you are illiterate in the language that you cannot be able to read, you cannot be able to write. You may be a native speaker, but so long as you cannot be able to read Tyap, you are an illiterate in Tyap. And then someone can be literate in English and in Hausa language, but that person cannot be literate in Tyap, or may not be literate in Tyap, because that person didn't learn about the orthography of the Tyap language. In Tyap language, we have some certain sounds that are written a particular way, which is different from the way English people write that same sound. For example, the sound when we write the English people will write it just like letter A, and the Hausa people just write it as letter A, but in Tyap we write it as letter A with a small dash at the bottom, which is called a diacritic. So that's the way our orthography is. So what is an orthography? An orthography are sets of rules for using the writing system of a language. All these languages, Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, and other languages plus Tyap, all have different rules for writing their language. The orthography also indicates the type of symbols we use. Like I told us earlier on, we have A underlined, but Hausa doesn't have A underlined, Igbo doesn't have A underlined, English doesn't have A underlined, but it is peculiar to our own language, A underlined. Now the orthography gives us a guide to the punctuation, the capitalization, or the two tonal markings, or whether to write from left to right and right to left. and then the orthography is just like a constitution. Every country has a constitution, has rules, and if you don't follow the rules, the police will arrest you and then they will charge you to court. So the same way, if we speak our language or if we write our language, police may not come, but then when you write the language, somebody who is reading it may not be able to understand because you didn't follow the rule. Now, what are the characteristics of an effective orthography? There are about five rules for an effective orthography, or five characteristics. Number one is accuracy. Now, in the English language, we have the word cat. That's how English pronounce it. We in Nigeria will just say cat because that's the way we pronounce things. So the English represent the k sound with letter C sometimes, and then letter A, they represent the A sound with letter A instead of E, as we have it in Tyap, and then the T is still the T sound is still written by letter T or represented by letter C. So if in the English language, letter K, it accurately represents the sound written as C, and then the A sound accurately represented by this letter A, and then T is accurately represented by this symbol called T. Then that means that that very language has agreed to write their sounds in that very manner. For example, the Tyap language, we write chat C-A-T, even though there are some quarters that the word chat is being written as C-H-A-T, but we'll come to that later on. But the Tyap speaking person actually will pronounce that one as chat. That's C-H-A-D or C-A-D. That's the way we pronounce it. Chadayang. You don't hear Chatayang, even though we write C-A-T. We say Chadayang because that T is having a D sound. But why are we not writing with letter D instead we're having letter T? Is because it has been agreed that that sound should be written like this and pronounced like that. That's the reason why. But by the time we now agree that we'll no more be writing with letter T, we'll be writing with letter D, then our orthography has agreed like that also. It's just like the way it is said in the Bible that whatever is agreed in heaven or on earth is also agreed with in heaven. So if the orthography says it should be like this, then it will be like that. Or if the people who prepare the orthography say it should be like this, they will have to follow it like that for our own language, so that everybody will be writing the same thing and be understanding themselves. Then consistency. In the English language, if you write happy and then you have another word called sappy, and happy is written with PPY, then sappy should be written with PPY as well. But then sometimes you find out that some languages don't follow the rules like that too. They don't follow the rules like that, especially like English language. That's why some people are advocating that some of the English writing should be, spelling should be adjusted. But then there's nothing one can do right now because the orthography says, or rather, the law says that you should write it like that, even though the orthography doesn't agree with it sometimes. But then a good orthography is supposed to follow the sounds of that very language. And then we're talking about convenience as the third effective characteristic. Now, if you write a word like field in the English language, and then you write the word receive, you will see that in field, even though you have the E sound here and you have the E sound here, I is coming before E, but then here E is coming before I. But then there's a rule in the English language that if you have a C before IE, then you should write it EI instead. That's their own agreement. So it's just for convenience, even though it doesn't follow the consistency. And then in the Tyap language, we have a word called liat. Liat. Now, liat, some of us will be writing Liyat, sometimes Liyad. But then our orthography says, no matter how you pronounce it, spell it like this. So if you now say, okay, our orthography is not doing the right thing, and then you go ahead to write Liyad or Liyat, then that means you are forming your own orthography, and at the end of the day, we are not going to be writing the same thing. You see that Mr. A, because he's a professor, wants to write the way he wants to write it, and then Mr. B, because he's a doctor, he wants to write it the way he writes it. No, we all have to follow the orthography of the Tyap language. Even though we are not happy about it, we have to follow it like that. And then we have exceptional cases where we have liat, and then that's the ear sound now, but then we are not having it as ia. Instead, we are having it as iya, ear here, ear here. It's the same sound. Then you wonder why we're not having Nigeria as Nigeria with ria or even rya. Well, there's another one, convenience, because the writers of the language say we should write it like this instead of having ia. Then we have to follow it like that also, so that everybody will be on the same page at the end of the day. And then acceptability, the standard way of spelling our words have to also follow the orthography. Like the Americans, they got the English language from the British people. But when the British people gave the Americans the English language, it's actually the same people, they only migrated. When the English language reached America, they now decided to remove the U inside color, and then it now became COLOR. Instead of having the British version COLOUR, you see that the British people just want to spell it according to the way the French people spell it. Even though the French will write it in another way, they'll change the O to E. But then Americans, they don't want stress. They just want to simplify things for themselves. And that's the way they have agreed. They have accepted it like that to write it. So you can't tell them, why are you not writing it the way the British are writing? They agreed like that. And then conformity. Now, when you follow the dictionary standard of writing, it's more or less the same example like this other one. The British dictionary writes favorite with a U inside, but the American own, they remove the U just like they remove it in color. Well, that's the way they choose to write it. So the spellings in the English language, in the American English language, they always omit that U to conform with what they have chosen. And the British, they always put that U according to what they have, to conform with what they have accepted. So all these laws, they are all part of the orthography. And then we have scripts. Today we write the Tyap language using the Latin script. In the whole world, we have a lot of languages. We have over 7,000 languages, and these 7,000 languages have different ways of writing. By the time you go over to Russia, you see that they are writing in the Cyrillic or the Kirill alphabet. You can see this is just a normal word. This is alphabet, but you cannot be able to read it because the script they are using is different from the one that we are using. When you go to Greece, you see that this one they are writing is Hellenic, but you cannot be able to understand because you don't understand that script. You go over here to Saudi Arabia and the Middle East, you see that they are writing another script, the Arabian script. You go to North Africa here, you see they are writing in Tifinagh. You go to Mali, they are writing in Nko. You go to India, they are writing different scripts. And then you go over to America, you see that they even have a Cherokee script, they have a Cree script. Different scripts all over the world. Why? Because everybody have their developmental strides. They had how they started writing. Writing started in the world from Egypt and Sumeria. Sumeria is around this area. Egypt is around this place. And Chinese also say they also started their writing around the same period also. But then, according to most of our documentation, writing started from Egypt and then it entered into Canaan. Those are the people who are also known as the Phoenicians. So the Phoenicians copied from the Egyptian, the Demotic writing also, and then they modified that very writing to become an alphabet. So they were the ones that first created an alphabet. And then because the Greeks were very close to the Phoenicians, the Greeks now copied Phoenician writing and then modified it. And then the Romans were also very close to the Greeks. They began to copy the Roman writing also and modified it to the way they want. It was the Roman writing now that was now beginning to infiltrate into Europe, and then the English people who didn't, who may not have had a very substantial form of writing, even though they had another form of writing they called the, I forgot the name, but later on they too they adopted the Latin script, and today our languages all over this color you are seeing it here in Africa, we all use the Latin script. Malaysia, Australia, Indonesia, and most of Latin America and North America, we use Latin script. So, what are scripts again? A script is a set of symbols used for writing a language. Now, there are different types of script. We have the alphabetical script, and then we have the abjad, and then we have the abugida, we have the syllabary, and then we have the logographic system. The alphabets are just the ones that have A, B, C, D, E, F, like in the English language. The abjad are the ones that have Aleph, Bet, Jamal or something, and then you have and so on and so forth. That's like the Arabic alphabet. And then you have the abugida, Gomel, and the rest, which is used by the Hebrews and then maybe the Egyptian Arabs. And then you have the syllabaries, the one that read like this. In this very writing, we have sil, and then we have la, and then we have b, and then we have ris. So in other words, there are about 1, 2, 3, 4 syllables in this very word. In this very word, we have only one syllable, set. In this very word, we have two syllables, sim and then ball. Sim, ball. Used is one syllable. For is one syllable. The is one syllable. Writing is two syllables. Of is one syllable. A is one syllable. Language is two syllables. So the languages that have symbols for each syllable, they are called syllabic. Their writing systems are called syllabaries. And then we have the logographic systems. The logographic systems are what the Chinese are using and the Japanese are using and what the Egyptians used. Like this symbol you are seeing here, it could be wu, it could be jo, it can be su, it can be ta. You have a very, you can have a drawing of the sun and then they'll call it ta. But when it goes to Japan, the Japanese will call it another thing, or maybe they may call it the same sound, but the meaning is another meaning entirely. We know that in Tyap, ta is to throw, but when you go to another language, ta can mean to slap somebody. So when you write this one now, a Tyap person or Tyap speaking person will read it, I would know that you are saying that you should throw. And then when you show the same symbol to another language speaking person, he'll just slap you because that means slap in their language. So that's logographic writing. And then the Tyap language, the Hausa language, the English language, all use the Latin alphabet as pointed out earlier on. And then we can have this very table now. This very table is showing us how the alphabet changed. From the Phoenician, you see that going to the left, the Greeks copied this very symbol and changed it to this. And then the Romans copied this symbol, changed it to this, and then later on adjusted it to this, which the English copied. The same way, the Brahma writing people, they copied the Phoenician and then change it to this, change it to this, change. I think we have two teachers in the class today, so I don't know, should I continue or maybe the other?
Who is that person? Can't you mute your mic? This is more like a distraction, please.
Okay.
Thank you. Kajam, please mute your mic.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have.
I know now they come.
Actually, Kajam, please mute your mic. Your mic.
I pray he listens.
Yeah.
Okay. So we also have another alphabet again. You can see all these ones, they later transform to other forms of writing until the Indians finally made their own symbol like this. but they all started from a particular form, which is the Canaanite or the Phoenician writing, which the Hebrews, who were originally Babylonians, or their ancestor Abraham was a Babylonian, who also came to the Canaanite land, and then he too, they began to form the speak the language of the Canaanite, and then they copied the writing of the Canaanite, and then the variant of the Canaanite language they spoke now became Hebrew. So the Hebrew today, the writing form of the Hebrew, they call it the square, the Hebrew square alphabet, but then it developed from this very Phoenician. So you see that different languages, they have formed different forms of writing from a particular form of writing. So in the world today, we have the Greek writing, we have the Cyrillic writing, we have the Hebrew, we have Ge'ez, we have Arabic, Devanagari, we have Chinese. There are plenty. These are just few examples. And then we are back home now. We are back home. There's a form of writing called the archaic script. The archaic script was developed for the Tyap language writing and related Nenzit languages. Now, what are the Nenzit languages? The Nenzit languages are also the languages called, they are also called Pletoid languages or Central Nigerian languages. Now, these Nenzit languages, we are hoping that at the end of the day, we should have a particular form of writing that can be used across these three major language families or language branches under this Nenzit group of languages. We have three of them. We have the Plateau group, which Tyap belongs to. We have the Jukunet group, which you have Jukun, Wapan, Kuteb, and the rest. And then we have the Kayenji group. The Kayenji group is split into two. We have East Kayenji, we have West Kayenji. East Kayenji is spoken in Southern Kaduna, Lere local government, Kauru local government, and part of Basa local government, Plateau State, and just North. And then we have the West Kayenji. We have languages like Tishingini or the Kambari language. We have Kamuku, we have Chinda, we have Chilela. There are plenty around that axis. We all came from the same ancestor. Now, if we have the same ancestor, then why not we have the same form of writing, and why not we develop the same form of language that we can all use to understand ourselves? So we are hoping that little by little, as we gradually develop our own individual languages, then we'll have a new language developed in the future that will be used across our region. So now, if you look at this archaic script or form of writing, you see some particular ways or some particular symbols that are looking different from the one you know. This is the Latin at the very top, and then this is the archaic script at the very bottom. The vowel sounds are suspended up as you're seeing it here. And then when you are starting to write the script, or when you are writing a particular thing, the very first letter, if it starts with a vowel sound, you use this very symbol. But when the R sound appears in the middle, you use this very symbol. You'll be confused right now, but you have examples to go through. So this is just an overview of this very archaic script. Hopefully, when we meet in person, then we are going to do more of this very archaic script. Now, this archaic script also has other symbols attached to them, like this square bracket, this curvy bracket, this parenthesis, and then this quotation marks and exclamation mark, and so on and so forth. There are plenty, and mathematical symbols. So at the end of the day, we are hoping to have a keyboard. Someone started developing a keyboard for it, but then he has not been able to complete it. But we're hoping that in the near future, we'll have this very alphabet documented so that we too can be able to adjust. And just to shock you, the Hausa language has about 4 to 6 scripts being developed in different places. And one of those scripts is called the Tafi writing. It was developed in the 80s. And the Bambara people, or the Mande speaking people of Mali, of Guinea, of Burkina Faso, and those axes of West Africa, they have the Nko writing. They have other forms of writing as well. So you see that different societies in Africa, they're actually developing different forms of writing because they want to develop an identity for their people. So now, what is linguistics? Linguistics is the studies of language, is the study of languages. If you study language, if you study English, if you study French, you are a linguist. Now, some aspects of linguistics include grammar, semantics. Semantics just deals with the meanings of things, and then syntax talks about the arrangement of words if the vowel comes first, if the subject noun comes first, or the object comes first. Like Tyap language uses the SVO. SVO means subject, object. S subject, verb, and then object. I ate it. I is the subject, ate, which is the verb, it is the object. So that's the way Tyap language is written. But the Zhu language, or the Zhu form of our language, it uses SOV, subject first, object, and then verb following. That's just the reason why Tyap speaking people are finding it difficult to understand the Zhu speakers. That's just the major reason why, nothing else. Otherwise, we have up to about 82% lexical similarity. In other words, our words rhyme up to about 80% or over 80%. So we are expected to understand ourselves, but then the syntax, the arrangement of the words in a sentence are not the same. That's just the only thing. And then two relative new areas to some of us are phonetics and then phonology. Phonetics is just the calling of words. How do you pronounce this? Do we pronounce it tuo, or we pronounce it tu, or do we pronounce it to, or do we pronounce it tau? How do you pronounce it? That's phonetics. Then phonology is the studies itself, is the studies of how you pronounce it. So anywhere you see logi, it has to do with like study or something. So hopefully this very few, we are going to touch on them in this very lesson. So don't worry so much about this very one. So for now, this is the end of our lesson. So I don't know whether the lesson was very fast. I'm trying to beat up time so that some of us will not start yawning. But let's pause here for now. But before we proceed, I would like to ask us if we have any questions. And if you don't have any question, then I'm going to ask you instead. So do we have questions? Have you any questions? So the owners of the light have taken their property. So a bit dark. So do you have any questions? Uh-oh. Please ask your questions. Are you confused about anything that you need an explanation for? Or should we just assume that all of us have understood? Or maybe nobody is following, maybe I was too fast.
Good
Okay,
evening. Can you
Dr.
hear me?
Kari.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, my mom is trying to follow here, and so she has a question. So go ahead.
The lesson is ongoing in English. As it is ongoing in English, those that are joining this class, can all of us be said we are literate in English? That is what I want. And how can you, as you said, maybe you were fast, truly you were fast. Ask me all the characters that you have presented, whether I can remember even one character. And so you were fast, and for beginners, I can see that the presentation might have been too hard to adapt following people. I don't know whether there will be a moderator coming from our own end, those of us joining the class. Thank you. It's wonderful.
Anya
It's
sako do
wonderful.
anya sako do mun tembo mai yimba.
So go young. So zu nku buak tia din shong dan yang konyang ka hui kyau nan jareni award to ndiyan ba ke zu buak zu tia din tia ba.
Nye ni sako biya maka bun bayo.
To
No,
to
I
what?
think the session, it is important we have it in English because there are other people who might want to learn a thing or two from our session here, especially those joining online. So, and I also believe that almost everybody here just respond to one of our questions. Like all of us on this call, we are literate and we understand English to some level. So, yeah, and also to accommodate those who are non-language speakers who want to learn. So, I think the English is will be more welcoming.
Okay, go
So,
ahead.
while we are responding to questions, there is a message that's dropped on the message box. We just and it is a data reimbursement form. You can just fill that form and then we get our data reimbursed after the call. Yeah, son, come back.
Okay, Tom, go ahead, go
No,
ahead.
no, okay.
Yeah, so
I want to know more about because truly we find it difficult to understand that Jew. This shemamba maka yankaji balia tiabjim but nazazarak manazundiani according to how we speak here. Balia dinazundiani bet nzut banal banalia changyang man fakba. So there is something you said subject verb before what and sumba and so I want you to repeat that and put more light there. I can't hear you.
okay, go ahead, tell you.
Okay.
Go ahead, tell you. So, you found one, Monica.
Is it fine?
Okay, so what I was saying earlier, let me try to be as slow as possible. So, I said earlier on that Tyap is a subject, verb, and then object language. In other words, when we speak Tyap, the subject of the sentence, for example, Namwagam Kide Jun, Na Nat, Na Nat, I will go. That I is that is the subject. Then na is will. I think that one is not so. That will is an auxiliary verb, and then not is a verb as well. But that one is not going to explain very well for me. Let me find another example. Example is uh, nwagu, nwagu. I gave him, or I gave her, or I gave it. I is the subject, and then what is the verb to give, and then ngu is the object. The receiver is the object, and then the speaker or the giver is the subject. But in some other languages, you find out that the subject comes first, and then the object or the receiver comes second, and then the verb comes last. For example, let me give you an example in you. I like him, or I like her. In Tiap, how would we say that? Nchagu. Kani?
Mhm.
Is subject, chat is the verb, is the actual word, and then ngu is the object or the receiver. But in you just say no chat. No chat. Chat is the object. I mean, chat is the verb, but then you are not putting the verb before the receiver. It's just like in Tiab, you just say ngu chat. It doesn't make sense to a Tiab speaker.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. But then in their own language, if you say nchagu, you are the one that is not making sense. So that's the way some languages are. But in Tiap, we have the same syntax with the English language most times. Tiap also has the same syntax with the Hausa language. Tiap has the same syntax with the Yoruba language. But you has a different syntax with Hausa, with Igbo, with Hausa, with Yoruba, with Tyap, and then with English. The reason why, because the Jew speaker, they understand English and the Jew speaker understand Hausa. Understanding Tyap is not difficult at all because they already understand the syntax of English. And the syntax of English is the syntax of Hausa, and the syntax of Hausa is the syntax of Tyap. So it doesn't cost them anything to understand Tyap. But you, as a Tyap speaker that is only knowledgeable about subject, verb, object, you know English, you know Hausa, and then you know Tyap. All of them has SVO syntax. You understanding another language that has another syntax is difficult for you. That's the reason why we cannot be able to understand you fluently. But the you speaker understands Tyap very well. You get it. Okay, I forgot my
Yes,
name.
yes.
Okay.
I understand. Thank you, sir.
So, apa na? Your phone number. So, dia bak ayim biar live yang ke muak ni live no more. So, any questions at all so that we can increase in knowledge? So, if we don't have a
Like
question,
I
there are
like
still
I have a question.
okay. Go on.
And sorry, because my network was very bad. I have to go out from my room to walk around. By the Chinese, I don't
Yeah,
I don't know. Like just as the English has alphabet,
yeah,
so like 26 alphabet. Like is it TFG? Do we have
yeah,
this alphabet also? Nung zubzaba ba ya bana ya rudiment bana ya chat chang nung maybe by knowing the sounds of our alphabet Dunaya on your own to create a word without making mistake. Do we have this alphabet on our own also?
yes, yes. So, it's all part of our lesson for the bootcamp. So, we are starting with theory, then later on we go into practical. Yeah, so in Tiab language, we have what we call the labialized consonant sounds, and then we have the palatal consonant sounds. The labialized consonant sounds, forget that it's a very big grammar, but it's a very simple thing. Whenever you have a consonant sound and you add W to it, for example, by is BAI, but buo, BWOUO. You see that W is added to B, and then your mouth or your lips have to switch a bit so that the B you don't pronounce it a B anymore, you pronounce a B. So that's labialized. And then we also have palatalized. For example, by is a pure B and then AI. But if you say biat, biat is BYAT, even though it's pronounced BYAD, biat gu, biat Elianka or Biat Kyabwaku, BYAD. Now it's not just B now, it's BY. So you have palatalized it. Palatal just means that you are using your palate. It's a part of your mouth. So to create the Y sound. So we have more complex uh, alphabet than the English has. In our basic alphabet, we have about 24 sounds. And these are the sounds: A, B, C, D, A, F, G, H. So I've forgotten how to count A, B, C, D again now. But you do like that. You do like that until you reach E,
It's
Z.
okay, it's okay. Gradually, I wish we will reach there. We the learners.
Don't worry, we'll reach there. We'll reach there. So we have it. We have all those things. And if you don't mind, I will share my screen again and you are going to see it. And most of these things I'm talking about, they are already existing online because we have documented it on our Wikimedia document. For example, when you go online and you type Tyap,
Um, Kamba, you are muted if you are speaking.
Oh, his mic is on. Problem with his network because even me here, I can't hear him.
Kamba, can you hear me? If you are speaking, your mic is muted. If if you are speaking, your mic is muted.
okay, so sorry, my network has uh, messed me up. So can we hear me right now?
Move on, move on.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so thank you very much. So let me share my screen again, and then you see the Tyap alphabetical chart. So everything that has to do with the alphabet has been documented in the Tyap phrase book. So this is my Google sheet. This is my Google page. I just browsed Tyap phrase book. You can see the phrase book here. So you can do the same thing on your phone. By the time this opens, you see Wiki Voyage, and then you see Tyap phrase book. By the time you click on this one is meant for travelers who are wanting to know the Tyap language, and they can learn the basics on this very page. This one just gives us a very brief history or an introduction to the Tyap speaking people. So you can see this one here, this image here represents our origin, who are the Nok, which is the Nok culture, and we are actually descended from these people. So you can, if you are in doubt, you can just look at your face and look at the faces of these people, and you can tell me whether you don't resemble them. Mhm. At, so when you go down this their phrase book, you see some things about the pronunciation guide, intonation. How do you pronounce in their language? And then this is the alphabet itself. We have about 7 vowel sounds. You can see a, e, o, u. But then this a here is divided into two. We have the a, we have the and this is okay. My mic is not.
No, your mic is on
My,
mute.
okay, my mic is on. Okay. Okay, so for an English speaker, he will pronounce this one as a, and then pronounce this one as and this is the representation on IPA, the phonetic representation and these are the examples for this. We have ma and we have k, but
But
ma, and then in English language, thank you, Ngwai. So in English language, this is father, and then this is about. And if you want to hear the sound, you can click on that sound. You hear how ah, ah, uh, uh, a, e, so for
e,
this I on the line, yeah, for this I on the line, you pronounce it. By the time you
e,
click on this very sound, you are going to be able to hear how to pronounce it, at least basically. So the same thing for the
but
long monotone sound, for the long, for the short monotone sound, they are all plenty here. They are all here, both the diphthong also. They are all here, and the sounds are at the end here. By the time you click on this one and you're confused, So you know how to pronounce that very sound. So we also have the consonant sounds as well. You can see them arranged here. These are the basic consonants of the Tyap language. And then you have the combination GB, GH, G. They are all plenty, and the sounds, how to pronounce it, is also here. Ra, GH. B for GB. H for KH. P for KP. And then Nga, NG. And so on and so forth. So this one lists out the so this one lists out all the combinations that we have in the Tyap language. They are all here. You can see them, they are all here. All of them are all here. These are the known sounds in the Tyap language, and then this one is just basics of how to translate some English words. Nice to meet you. Please, thank you. Ngwai, your Fokiamba, Mabana, Teba, and so on and so forth. So, do you want me to share this link also in the group?
There is need. Please share it.
Okay, so I'll just share it right here also, and then this is the link to that very one. And then I shared something previously on the group. That very archaic script, it was used to book of James in that very script. This is Tyap language you are seeing, and I'll open it, and unfortunately you will not be able to read it. Even though it's Tyap language, it is Tyap, yes, but you will not be able to read it because it's a different script altogether. The same thing if I write this very Tyap language in the Cyrillic script, you'll not be able to read it because you don't understand the Cyrillic script. So what's written here, there's a mistake here. What you are having here is Yahuda, Yahuda, even though it's supposed to be Yakubu. But this is Y, this is A, this is Ha, H, this is U, this is D, and this is A, Yahuda. And what we have here is Wusika, Nang. Wusika, Nang.
Please, Achilles, mute your mic. Achilles, your mic is on.
Okay, so what we have is Yahuda, and what we have, so what we have here is Wusika, Nang, Yahuda, Liud, Eni. So we have letter L, and then whenever we have palatal sounds like L and then Y, we usually have 3 dashes at the bottom of the consonant sound. So this is L, and then these 3 dashes represent Y sound. And if you have only 2 dashes, it represents W sound. So if we had it without this third line here, we have Lud, UUT. And then if you have 3 dashes beneath, you have Y. And then this is letter T. By the time I put 2 dashes, it will become TY. If I put 3 dashes beneath, it becomes TY. And this is Ni. Now this is A, and then this one is also A. But this one is starting the word, so it is looking like this. But this one is inside the word, so it's looking like this. Whether it's in the middle or it's at the end. But if it is beginning, then it will look like this. So this is the book now of, okay, sorry, this is Jude. I think this is Jude. Yahuda. So the whole 5 chapters are all written here in the archaic script, and you can use it to practice. You can just open to your Tyap New Testament, and then you just follow it gradually and compare with the writing, every word per word in the other side. Then you'll be able to understand how to write with this very script. Are we confused?
Trying to catch up.
I think the best way to handle this is when we meet in physical. It will be easier for some persons to learn it.
Yeah.
But online here, putting
So
it in
gradually,
practical will solve it out.
yes,
Yeah, this one is just to prepare the ground ahead
Yeah,
of
yeah,
in-person meeting.
yeah.
yeah. So when we went to Ukari, we wrote this. Is you wrote the Jukun language, the Wapa language, Jukun Wapa language, using the Kai script, and they were all excited. Everybody want their own name to be written. The same thing when we went to the Hiam language speaking area, and then the same thing when we went to the Tishingene speaking area in Kambari, Niger State. They were all very happy, and everybody wants their own words or their own names to be written using this script. So I hope that we'll be able to learn this very quick so that gradually it may not be something that is immediate, but in the near future we can be able to transition. We can have two scripts. We can have the Latin script, and then we have the and let me show you something about the Fulfulde language. You may think that the Fulfulde language is backward. I mean the Fulani language, but I will show us something, and then it will shock you. So let's check Kaduna State on Wikipedia. Okay. So the Fulfulde speaking people or the Fula speaking people, they have an alphabet. They call it the Atlam. So the Atlam alphabet, they are circulating it everywhere. Like in the last World Cup, last which year in Gambia, Nyeni, kada nyawa ba. To, a yanzu nan ya ne da biya bayan bayan da an ge ba ni an ge I've forgotten the word, but kajun what kali channel banyeni asman ya bayan ya da yit. So nearly this is a Fula Lady Kaduna, and then you can see what they wrote here. This is Lady. They read it from the right to the left. Leydi. Lady. Kaduna. Kaduna. Lady Kaduna. But we don't have the equivalent yet because we are yet to digitize the archive script. So can I share digitization? In other words, this keyboard is available in your phone, then you can be able to also write it as well. Using the Arabic writing to write the Hausa language, but wherever the Arabic language has a particular sound and they don't have that sound, they will replace that very symbol with a sound that they have. For example, Arabic has th, th. So what they do in Ajami is they replace that th with another sound in the Hausa language. For example, ch, the same symbol for Arabic th they use for ch. So that's the way. It's just a switching, but it's more or less the same thing with Arabic. So this is Jihar Kaduna in Arabic. So anali man bana chong angeba Islamia kujang jenshun. Namba chong Islamia ni kyau na bamyam ngwa myam yud huni. Awat mba afataba mba ma bani chong Islamia mbao bani miyamaji asumbani na ali ne. So yuhan bina nzibma zina biye tanka so haba. If not now, but maybe we can start thinking about that. So that manzinama kanamba banat school basi buok kuna mi banad avoyan awat anali manzna kanamba basu bok fanhu banana vobol banana vo mangajija aja. So is it that this yes or even if it is like Tyap language lessons, banaba miam sisa nan dia Tyap aja. At least that one is to protect our own identity. So maybe we can start thinking about that. Like previously, actually, Avon he actually asked, is it not possible that we start something like a Tyap Wiki Bootcamp for children, or somewhere that children will go and learn the language? So my own reply is that, is it possible now for parents to come and see where we are, see what we do, and then if we now see that they are able to come to us, they will know that these parents are serious. But since then, we have not yet seen any parent that will say, let me come and see what these people are doing, so that my own children, maybe during long vacation, you can send your children to come and learn Tyap. We have people who are fluent in language. Me, I'm not so fluent in speaking it, but we have other people who are fluent in speaking the language. They will take those children on speaking Tyap. And at the end of the day, like Wakab, who is here with us, there are 3 children that he's taking currently. Those children, their mother is not even an Tyap woman, and their father is not even somebody who stays around. So he just wants his children to know how to speak Tyap. So he got through Tolu Kuyereji, and then he recommended Guakap. So Guakap has been taking those children for not up to 2 months, but those children were with us yesterday. And if you hear the way the boy was, he's not up to like 7 years, he's not up to 7 years old. But this is somebody who doesn't have an idea about the language, but this boy will begin to count the part of the body for you. At least that's a start. And the boy can also count in Tyap, at least for a start. By the time he reaches 1 year, you see that boy will begin to speak Tyap. By the time that child goes to school now, and somebody is saying that somebody is trying to be like he's more superior in terms of identity, you also tell him that, in fact, that child will never feel like inferior to another person who can speak their own language. Because language, if you can't speak your language, you feel inferior to another person who speaks their language. It will look like your own people are less than the other people. And that's the reason why, because Kazubuagaji, Zinanat NTA, Zinan1 NTA, Zindi, Nyepad, Aliakpadeja, Kazina de Casuals, Aliakpadeja, Kazubuok, Zina Church. In fact, church is actually contributing to the death of our language, because Mbabasimun, Nyen Kai, Zitiaba Sadna Banafok, Delian Bakaba. Sikpat, pat, kuja buak pat. That's the reason why our people now look at our own language as inferior, and they look at other languages as superior. It is wrong. By the time kana zibia kana school manika tiada dinshon award as a share lesson na tiada din tiabani award kana church at least often aliada gwaza na din tiab. At the end of the day, you see that kai chauna opadu mbiani wama appear. So you want be nang one appear nang two atat chauna achopad yerenipa. So it's just a mental kind of engineering now. Wherever you turn and you hear a particular language, you tend to go towards that very language. Bekana zita liat din Tyap award kusan chao na zinyeni Tyap zintia mamiaja. You see that even people that don't speak the language, they want to learn it. But if you as a native speaker, you don't speak it, they will never be drawn to speak it or to learn it with you. So it's still part of what we are doing. This is share community, Southern Baba, Southern Jiliat, then Tyap award, but function liat Tyap mamianya ba. So I don't know if you have a question, but if you don't have a question, maybe I'll just proceed over to the assignment for you, because every lesson we have like this, there will be an assignment. Do you have any question before we proceed?
It's all right. I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, move on.
I have a question, but before then, I just want to add up when you talk about Eliat Mwap Kojiana Shepie, like the Bonishan Padaji earlier, like I call one boarding school, Nunkumon, the examiner, young, like Nsunkubung Ataya Bungatiap. So, Padaja, when they saw me, they said, Anagan Kasa Hulanya Remu. Yeah, like which are. So they address me as they were saying I odon hulang atiap ni like bibianje the cut off. So but they that time they said atiap, not they did not address us as cut off but atiap. So like on my mind I just said wow. So it's because we have addressed ourselves now as atiap,
Yes.
and because of the social media and they have gotten to know now that we are really Atiap, not Kataf. So Mba
Yeah.
Suba Bengeze Nyaoni have started calling us Atiap now. So I
Yes.
said
That one agrees.
it's a good thing. So we just need to like keep it up
Yes.
before when we keep it up before you know baby boom at Katabanya but call us on what we are. So that's what I want
That's
to
true.
add up. Then my question is this because on my Facebook page I'm trying writing in Tiabo, so though all this knowledge like the rudiment I don't have them, so we are just trying our best maybe from reading Tiab Bible. This a sound that this I know like Gwaza, here, early, you have underscore, you
Yeah.
put a dash under the A. But in
Yeah.
my keyboard here on my phone, so I don't know, is there a space that I used to see Gwa writing it that way, but I don't know, is there a way I can also find it or I don't know. Mine is I just used to put the dash because that's what my keyboard is giving me. Minted by only slash kiatajaka just to differentiate the from a. Can they hear me?
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
actually,
So we have a
This
keyboard
one,
that we are using.
uh,
Yes. So we have a keyboard that we're using.
your network is
My
Okay. So
network.
distracting you.
yeah.
Ayod.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Uh,
my network is bad. I don't know. Do you hear my question?
yes.
Yeah. Very clearly.
Uh,
So I don't know.
Okay,
Can you hear me
so
properly?
Ayod, you can talk
yes,
now.
I
You can
can hear
talk.
you. I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we have the
Wow.
African keyboard. Kaungo Kaungo Google Play Store. Just search for
Uh,
African keyboard. African keyboard.
okay.
Let me still share. Let me search it. You see the symbol. There's a logo. African keyboard. So once you see the logo, you'll be able to know which African keyboard it is. So I'll open to Google Play Store. Yeah, this is the logo. Aligua Aligua. Uh,
I think
New
his mic is
phone.
off. His mic is off.
Okay. So this is the African keyboard logo. Once you just see this one that's looking like Kampala, this is the African
Mm.
keyboard. So once you download it to your own device, it may not be able to work on computer, but it can be able to work on phone excellently well. So that's where you can just click on whenever you need to click on a underscore. Just go to number 8, click it twice, and then the underscore will appear below your A or below your I. And you can also put tonal mark, rising tone, falling tone, any tone. It's just excellent for Tyap language writing.
Okay.
Yes.
It's alright. That's when if I should Google it now and download it. will it replace my normal keyboard?
Mm-mm. It will appear twice. It will appear in two ways. Like when you look down the down part of your screen, you are going to see.
Oh,
Unfortunately, my phone cannot be
okay.
able to show here, but you see by the side of the long the space bar, you are going to see something that looks like a small keyboard. You see small dot like
Hmm.
this, either by the left or by the right down. Then just click on that. You will see that you have option to choose which keyboard you want to use.
Okay, I
So you
understand.
select, yes, you select, yes. Okay, so I think we can proceed to our question, to our assignment rather. So the assignment says define the five characteristics of a good orthography.
So right.
Define accuracy, define consistency, define convenience, define acceptability, and define conformity. That's question one. Just give something short in your exercise book. We are going to mark it at the end of this very lessons. You are going to submit your exercise book, and then we'll mark it. And then assignment two says take a look at the archive script and draw each of its letter in your exercise book. Learn how to draw it. Draw it in your exercise book. Put the Latin, put the archive symbol, and then use it to write your name on a fresh page. Write both your name and your surname on another page. Are we clear with the assignment? Is it clear enough?
Yes, I think I'll suggest you send it maybe on the WhatsApp platform, so
Okay.
that we can be able to do it, and then also
Okay.
give us a
So,
deadline for it for submission.
oh, okay. So the deadline, the exercise book is always going to be with you, but the
On
deadline
WhatsApp.
is Thursday. Thursday next week.
Okay, so but we can start working on the assignment from now to Thursday, right?
Very well. Very well.
For
From
those
now
with
to
exercise
Thursday.
book at home. It's okay.
Yes. So maybe in the next class you lift your exercise book on your camera and then you show the assignments. Since we cannot be able to meet right now, but when you
Or
are
you can,
coming, but
or
yes.
some persons can even snap it on the WhatsApp platform. You ask for
Very
submission. For
good.
those that have been able to do, they submit it there,
Very
right?
good. For those of us who are also hook up, or if you don't know, ask somebody. Like on your phone, you can be able to download scanner, scan the page, and then put it on PDF, and then send it over.
Okay.
It will
Okay.
mark everything. Yes. So there's a saying by a gentleman called Charlemagne. Charlemagne was a king of the kingdom called the Frankish kingdom, or what became France today. Charlemagne said, to have another language is to possess a second soul. In other words, when you have one language, you have only one soul. But if you have another language, you have a second soul. In other words, you can be able to put yourself in the shoes of another man. The way the other man thinks is the way you too you'll be able to think. And that's the reason why somebody also says that you speak in the language or whatever language you speak, that's the way you think also. So a young Zilia pat angezia pat ya a padua one bina chauna padu nyeni anyana anenzu baba mbama bamumbani bamunanya. So anali anenzu baba nguma me kwanfu anyerene angegu politics kani anali sad na banyan kyanga nan a padani a wat ka asu fakyan na balyane balyadin kwacha. So as a manya who want bina banye sagna banyeni because pajabalia one bina banyana badeni. And then there's another saying, if you can read and you can write in any other language but not in your native tongue, you are an illiterate in your mother tongue. Somebody anonymous said it. You can speak English, you can speak Japanese, you can even speak German, but you don't know how to speak and write or read and write in Tyap, then you are an illiterate in the Tyap language. So, Ogwai, thank you very much. And if you have any questions, you can reach us through this very link. This is our Tyap Wikimedians User Group page, and then this is Kuyet phone number. You can reach him out or reach out to him and then contact him on any questions you have, or you can reach us on the group. By the time you click on that link, then you'll be able to see our user page here, our meta page here. So with this, I would only say thank you very much for taking time to be with us. This is over an hour and we are all been here together for this long. So Uwai Mang Nyafong into what by next time.
So, to go combine with your tonight, I join suggestion. So, to the rest of us on the call, we sincerely appreciate you for taking the time to be in attendance this evening. So, we understand we all had a different schedule, but after the whole stressful day, we still were able to make it to this session. So, it is something that we said a big kudos to you. So thank you very much for taking time to listen. And I hope that you have learned something new today. I hope you have learned something new today. So in case, for those of us who are here, we have a dedicated WhatsApp group, mainly for the bootcamp. And the link has been shared on the chat. Just click on the link and join that WhatsApp group. Any communication pertaining the bootcamp, we'll be discussing it on that group. So do well to join. Or in case you don't have, you have any challenges with that, you can just chat me up on the number that is there on our document that Kambai just shared. So thank you very much again. We sincerely appreciate you. And just remind us tomorrow for our editors, especially the Wikipedia editors, tomorrow we're having our meeting. That community meeting is coming up tomorrow by 5. Okay, by 5 o'clock. Yes, by 5 o'clock.
By
I'm not
6
sure of the
p.m.
time.
6 to 7.
All right, by 6.
6 to 7.
Yes. So by 6. Thank you. By 6 to 7. So we're having a community meeting where we come as Wikimedians to discuss a whole lot of things, the progress we have made, and where we the journey ahead. So we're going to discuss all of that tomorrow during the community meeting. Please do well to be in attendance because that meeting is promising to be a very good one. So please try to join the meeting. And for those of us who are currently active on the African Wiki Challenge, we'll spare at least maybe 10 to 15 minutes of that meeting tomorrow, and then we'll talk about highlights of the African Wiki Challenge as well. So please do well to join that session by 6 o'clock tomorrow. So thank you very much. I don't know, we shared a link for data reimbursement. I don't know if we were able to fill those.
It's actually not submitting
so
here. I don't know if it is my device.
I guess it is yours because we have received.
So the issue with the form, all the last option for the network, you have to select it all before you can submit it.
Oh.
Yes.
But I hope the person overseeing it will be able to know which of the networks is actually denying the
provider. We didn't take notice of that. Anyway, just send it, submit it. We'll find a way around it.
And I would suggest, while trying to submit, where you have some observations to make, I think it will be better you indicate the network there for your distance, since it is so misbehaving, right?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I think that would be also awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Yes. So thank you very much, everyone. So on this note, this is about 8:44 p.m. So I don't know, is there anybody with a final question before we take our leave for the day?
I tried to submit that form. It couldn't submit successfully.
Okay, I think our attention has been drawn on the reason why it is not, but I think we'll do better next time. We'll try to make all the necessary adjustments ahead of next time. But do find out to submit it. Try as much as you can. So I think
Yes, I can come again.
Okay, someone wants to say something.
Okay,
Okay,
I was
yes.
actually
I think
trying
I
to
can.
yes, thank you, Kuyet. So I come by also, thank you. This effort we are making is actually for the benefit and the betterment of we, the younger generation, to making sure that we have something preserved, not just for ourselves, but for the generation God will bless us with. Today, we are complaining and lamenting that things are not actually going the way they should when it comes to the language which we bear ourselves as. So, I want to encourage everyone who is able to attend this meeting to sit up and take it as a point of duty that if I have been playing with speaking the language and learning the dynamics of writing in the language, it is high time I know that there has been an existence of effort made by people, by some individuals. So, and these individuals never carry two heads, they carry a single head as well as I am. So, it is a challenge on all of us to take it to heart and make sure we contribute our quota pending when we are going to exit our living on earth. Secondly, Kambai and Kuyet and others, this effort will not only yield fruit to us, the younger generation, knowing fully well that the old folks are actually not seeing this as a commitment towards developing the language, since their minds, I don't want to say, is dead towards developing the language. But I want to suggest that everything we are going to do here, I pray God help us to have good words that we'll be able to put in the ears of especially the Tyap community development through the language development board to see the need. I'm talking particularly of the Akai script. I remember this Akai script, something came up some years back. And to be honest, not even myself is able to write a welcome with the Akai script. So I will be of the opinion that in as much as we are making efforts to learn it, the adoption of it is very important. And by so, if we are able to push so hard for the language development board to put it into consideration as one of the tools being used to be used in writing the Tyap language, it will help us while we try to develop the mentality in the younger generation that are willing and that we are trying to mold differently from the old mentality we grew up with. So, in as much as we are making this effort, we should also make effort to make sure we convince these persons to see needs so that we'll implement it just as we are making efforts to put study centers and, of course, the schools we have around Tyap into considering making Tyap a subject on its own. That I guess we were talking about it sometimes. If there is need for most of the private schools we have in Tyap, if the government will not agree that the Tyap language should be learned in the government institutions, but the private. So while we try to make that work, we should make sure every preparation, the Akai script is part of the tools we are presenting for the private institutions in the Tyap for effective learning of the language and the privacy of it. So I think I want to appreciate everyone from here for participating and still encourage that we act very seriously in everything we are learning here for our own good and for the good of the children, because language is the only identity every human being has to be called with. Like Kambai said, you cannot be called an Atia person when you are speaking Pat. The honest truth remains that if you are asked to identify yourself, you can only speak English to tell that you are an Atia person. But if you are asked to speak as an Atia person, where you cannot be able to do so, I think it is a disgrace and a slap. So let us sit up to this. and see this as an opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cholishan. That is actually a kind of fatherly advice to all of us who are currently on the call. So it is a wake-up call for all of us to take responsibility. We own this language, and we need to take responsibility on how to document and present this language and to also promote it. So it's our own duty now. It shouldn't be that, God forbid, that in our time this language uh, went extinct or gone extinct. So please, again, thank you very much for that wonderful call. So most of your comments are well noted, and we'll look at how we can be able to work around it and start to implement some of these things, especially in terms of partnership and reaching out to our leaders, especially the language leaders. So thank you very much. We appreciate that comment. After all, you are part of the community, you are part of the activities, everything going within the community. So it is just a wake-up call for all of us. Thank you very much. So any other comment from anyone? Our time is fast. All right.
In the
So
absence
the
of any
absence of
other thing,
anything.
please, I am of the opinion that we close the meeting for today, pending when we are meeting next. Please.
Yeah. So before we do that, any final comment from Kambai before we go?
No, I won't want to say anything again. I just want to say thank you all for coming, and we'll meet by Friday next week.
All right. That is for the next session of the bootcamp. We are meeting next week, same time, same station. Do well to join us. And remember, our community meeting is coming up tomorrow by 6 p.m. Please try and join that call. It is very important for all of us. Thank you very much. And in the absence of anything, I just want to say on behalf of the Tyap Wikimedians User Group, that's the organizers for this Tyap Wiki Bootcamp, I want to say thank you, a big thank you to every one of us on the call. And we look forward again to connecting with you next time. Stay blessed and have a good night rest, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Say it again.
Sasa mkajum ndiye yang baba elia kaya ne.
Tango sheje ba kangwala tunkanero funa. Fumvano. Subai. So Achilles anya nyera ka hianya, you know, aya ka sheje. Okay. Sankwai.